Hi guys, welcome back to TNG Productions. My name is Tom and I am joined by the wonderful Steve and Jamie from Steamforged Games, and we are back to discuss the Brewers Guild for our exclusive release, which we are incredibly thankful of, by the way. So in the last video we looked at the kick-off Brewers and the upgrade of Lucky as a 7th player today, and now we're going to look at the single when you're winning set, which is led by the wonderful matriarch of the Brewers, Esters.
Yes.
So what can we see? We've talked about the changes universally for the Brewers and the kind of change of mindset of really making them this survivalist team. You've got some really tough players in this box, so how do we approach these guys?
Yes, so in this box we've got Esters, Quaff, Mash, Stoker, Pint Pot and Veteran Spigot. Now I think the main attraction of this box has to be Esters, and her impact that she has on the Brewers as a whole is in Season 4 she has picked up a new trait called Aria, which
fantastic trait.
which every model within 4 of her can just use their heroic play for free. Now those of you who've looked at the kickoff box will notice that basically every brewer, I think other than the mascots, have heroic plays, so it's an ability that pretty much whatever players you pick you will get some efficiency out of, and that makes her a fantastic anchor point for the team, and also in the typical Brewers fashion she has this difficult to deal with, she has the resilience trait, so she's tough, and then also she has quite a nice output herself. She can very easily put Tooled Up on herself and make 5 attacks and quite reliably put out 15 damage or more depending on if the scrum is going her way.
Yeah, she's got that momentous 2 damage on 2 hits, which is such a rare thing for the Brewers to have. And the fact that she has that very useful playbook result, she has inbuilt damage buffs, and the fact that she can tool herself up. And she's not too worried about counterattacks, even as a one Manazelle model, because she can absorb a counterattack with resilience. She can just go in and put 15 damage out on a lot of
which will
models.
really hurt.
She's a fantastic first activation of a turn, because you don't have to worry about that counterattack. She can get a lot done and also put her buffs out as well and position herself to use that Aria.
And that is how she changes from Tapper very much in terms of playstyle. She will anchor the team. Her positioning is quite important in terms of leaning to the advantages with the other Brewers in the set.
Yeah, I think both captains are very similar in terms of that they have this strong positional element.
They have this aura they need to put up.
But she has the option of actually giving buffs to people and then sending them out, so she has quick foot on there, which huge for Brewers. Brewers are one of our slower teams, at least on their base values, and they benefit. Their speed is gained via buffs that they have, and so quick foot and having access to Tooled Up for damage are very useful.
I also think one of the big differences tactically between Esters and Tapper is that you mentioned for one that she can buff a model that then they can run off, which they can't do so well with Tapper because they have to stay around him for his commanding aura. The other thing about playing with Tapper is you have to wonder about when you're going to activate Tapper during the turn.
He might have to go early for commanding aura, whereas with Aria you've got it
all the time. With Esters, you have your activation order is so much simpler because you can have your heroic plays whenever you like. So even if you haven't got any momentum on the board, you can have your heroic plays straight away and just go. And so you're not having to build up that bank of momentum. She can go earlier or later in the turn. You don't have to worry about getting commanding aura up really. I guess you have some smaller questions. Do you need quick foot? Do you need to build up? But they tend to be smaller questions than does my entire team need commanding aura early? Does it not? Do I need to use All Jakes to get some more influence out? You don't have as many of these activation order questions with Esters as you do with Tapper.
So moving on, we've got the Faithful Hound, Quaff.
Quaff is like the other mascot, hasn't changed really that much.
They need to really. It's a very thematic model.
The only change was a global one, which was to Second Wind. So Second Wind has gone from being a jog at the end of your activation to just being a 4-inch dodge. And this is essentially to promote interaction within the game. You're not going to see the situation of where someone goes in, takes out a model, then is able to use Second Wind to yo-yo back out. And as a result of it changing, it has gotten cheaper. It is now 1 influence instead of 2. And the dodge in some instances is better because you can go into someone and you don't have to worry about using your last attack to disengage.
You can bounce straight away afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
I am gutted, and I must have to report though that you clearly for global rule changes, but the wonderfully named Bag of Quaffers. It's immediately whose fault is this?
This is me. It was kind of an inside joke for people that have played the game for a while. And the Bag of Coffers, obviously his name, the unit ability. Bag of Coffers was very funny at first. And then over time it just got more and more like confusing. Why is this?
What is this?
What is a Bag of Quaffers? Does anybody really know? So we changed the ability to just being called Pick Me Up, which is just a bit a more thematic brewer name, really, and less of an inside joke.
It's more of a general one you can use if another model needs it.
Absolutely.
And also it's one that is less confusing because there are definitely points where you could go, oh, I'm going to use bag of coffers or coffers.
Yeah.
So as we move forward, we've got our first of the 2 strikers that come in this box set. We've got Mash.
Yes,
Do we even call him a striker? He's a weird kind of hybrid player, isn't he?
I would say he's not strictly a striker anymore.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
He's a heroic player. I mean,
We'll start with that. So Mash has gained a heroic play. He previously didn't. We wanted to unify the whole theme of the Brewers and have these heroic plays on every model that is a squaddy and all the captains. Now, in terms of how he's changed, he has become the model that sits with the ball and basically says, you need to come to me and get this ball, and I'm going to make your life difficult. And he does that through a few ways. The first one is his absolutely savage counterattack, where on 2 he has a tackle push, and then on 3 he has how's that, which
is just the best.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the greatest when you get that.
So it makes him very difficult to get the ball off of. And then on the back of his card, he has, like Esters, resilience as well.
Yeah. He's actually the only model in the game to have both, so far, to have both resilience and tough hide.
Yes. Yeah. And then also in keeping of making Brewers hard to kill, we gave him tough hide, like Perkins just said.
Just to laugh at people. Has he lost his unpredictable?
He has. He's not
he's not dancing around with that now. He's just going to come and get it off me.
Right. We felt it was a little bit more thematic for the Brewers overall. It's just he's not so much like hard to kill or hard to get the ball because of his weird positioning he does. That's probably something that's a little bit less brewery, I guess, than most things. Yeah. So he's actually just physically very difficult to get the ball off, and he has a very savage counter attack. One of the things that we think that the Mash will be really good for actually is if the Brewers can get hold of the ball quite early on, and this is where his heroic comes into play, he'll be very good at holding the ball until later on in the game. And when you actually decide now's a really good time to score, I've got 2 takeouts or I've got 4 takeouts, or at the point where you decide you want to score a goal, then he uses his heroic, which is kind of like a free version of long bomb, including a pass.
Yes.
So it changes his kick stat to 310, and it means that he can make a pass immediately without spending influence. And I think it ignores intervening models as well. So it's a method of, even though he might not score the goal himself, he's really good at holding the ball. And then when you decide I need to score now, so Mash is going to do some stuff. He's going to get the ball right the way up the pitch, and then someone else can go and score.
There's a cheeky snapshot at the end of that potentially, isn't there? As
Absolutely.
well, it's an amazing overhead kick as he punts it over the pitch.
It's also one of those that it can be used to just mess around with your opponent. Mash can be on one side, they go to threaten that ball, and then he just activates. He doesn't have any influence, uses his heroic, and then punts it to the other side of the pitch. And your opponent's thinking, now I've got to go all the way over there and chase down that ball.
And he's benefiting tremendously from his wife. From Esters, because having momentum saved to use for those counter attacks, or having the free ability to punt it is phenomenal for him. That he can have nothing on him and still be a threat.
Absolutely.
So he's more of a holding player this season, should we say?
Yes, ball holding player.
In terms of holding the midfield, we've got Stoker and Pipepot, who really are your down and dirty players with this set. How have they represented in season 4?
So Stoker is another model that we're quite happy with. He hasn't picked up tough hide, but I think that would be a bit unreasonable given his 3-2 stat line.
It's horrendous counter attack.
Yeah, and his great counter attack of that.
Plus, Magical Brew is just a really nice ability as well.
Yeah.
It's a different type of resilience for the team.
Yeah. In terms of his actual changes, his main one was to his playbook, where we brought his knockdown a bit lower so that he can access that a bit easier and try and get further up his playbook to make use of that 2 damage that he has on 3 or the 3 on 4.
It's the fact within 2 hits he's got a double push, knockdown and a tackle.
Yeah,
he's doing
pretty much everything you need.
He's doing good work in 2 hits off his 5 attack, isn't he?
Yeah.
Still benefiting when he's attacking flaming targets. He's still kept that trait of.
Yep, and that actually got a little bit easier for him as well. In that his heroic play still does the same effect, which is that a human ball of fire. Whenever he moves into base contact with an enemy model, it just immediately suffers the burning condition. But it used to cause damage to him. It doesn't anymore. So it's just that's all it does now. It doesn't actually damage Stoker, so it's easy to
just flambees people to go.
Yeah.
I think the other thing. On that topic as well, that a lot of the Brewers picked up a point of movement on their initial jog stat.
Yes.
And Stoker is an example of that, and it just makes that situation where a lot of the time Brewers would be like, I need that just that little bit more, and I wouldn't have to sprint or charge. And that one extra inch makes a huge difference and makes them a bit more efficient, so they can just walk up and beat face.
They're kind of masters of the scrum, of the dirty fight, really, and those extra points of jog movement help so much when you only need to move a small distance and just make sure you can get exactly where you need to be. Yeah.
So, thinking of players who don't need that little bit more, we've got Pint Pot, who literally comes with a bag of beers ready to fuel him. He is probably one of the more thematically amazing models that you can get hold of with his kind of abilities and that. But he has had a few tweaks in terms of his playbook, his tackle, his knockdown of looped, is it?
Yeah,
they look a little bit different from
the tackle I think has stayed the same. I think the knockdown may have come down a little bit, but the main thing is simplification.
Yeah.
On this playbook.
So he had some. I think he had some non-momentous dodge results. We weren't finding those who were being selected very much, so we got rid of those, and that gave us the space to move.
Brewery, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, absolutely. They gave us the space to move his knockdown down a little bit, and then the only other change that we made to Pint Pot at all was he got a global change to Rowdy. So Rowdy in season 3 was you don't suffer crowd outs, but you wouldn't gain gang ups either. So Rowdy only now takes away the negative, doesn't take away the positive. So you now don't suffer crowd outs, but you do gain your friendly gang up bonuses.
Which in a Brewers team kind of makes more sense. I think when he was initially launched, he was this kind of like outsider, but since the story's moved on, Esters has kind of brought him into her group, so maybe he will not be so much of a loner, but he's still that scrappy underdog in the fight, so he will take the hits a bit better.
The other thing that's not a change on him, but is sort of the team around him that makes a huge difference, is when he can do his heroic for free, so that he gets the come on then, which is basically resilience.
Yes.
That is a huge thing, because he's another model like Esters who can go first if he's near Esters, put up that resilience and just go into someone and wail into them and does not have to worry about counter attacks.
And he's another one that's very hard to expect what's going to happen with him, because he's got a 2-2 influence stat, but he has got those beers.
Yeah, so
that
he can make 5 attacks conceivably in a single turn.
Yeah, and he can really surprise and spike some damage in the same way that Mash could surprisingly move the ball around, without it coming. So. One main striker then in this set, then, shall we say, which is Veteran Spigot, who's always been a really, really interesting, pure, I'm going to bang the ball in the back of the goal style player. How is he looking in season 4? Because he's gained a little bit from his original counterpart, hasn't he? A really important trait.
Yeah, so we decided that we wanted to separate the original Spigot and Veteran Spigot a bit more, and one of the main ways was we took Football Legend off of regular Spigot and put it on Veteran Spigot, which thematically makes a lot more sense. Veteran Spigot is meant to be this all-out striker. He is impressive within his team. So there was that, and then the other thing that we had a look at was some tweaks on his playbook to make him feel more brewery. And I think the thing that I love on his playbook that is the most brewer result for a striker is the tackle knockdown.
Yeah.
Because
which I think previously we only seen on, is it Hammer?
Yes, previously. And we looked at Veteran Spigot during season 4, and it was pretty much the perfect place for him, and is a great result for him. When he hits that third column, he knocks you down, takes the ball, and then boots a goal in. And
he's still kept balls gone just in case anyone has got close control, just to wind them up as well. He really is, I'm getting the ball, I'm banging it towards the goal. That is purely what I'm going for.
And he's still retained goad as well, so there's a bit more of utility still in his kit of if he can't score a goal or you don't have access to the ball, you have the option to control players and so on.
How's the back of his card looking? Because we saw quite a lot of things in season 3 with like paint on his boots and things like that, and back to his best. Is it?
So we simplified an awful lot on the back of his card. His heroic changed so that he just he still has his free kick with the heroic, but a lot of abilities like and I can't remember the names because there's like 3 abilities on his card. Let's see what he has.
He used to have paint on his boots, which was like the
free counter. Was that?
He gave him poised.
That's it,
and he had a rule called Match Fit, where he gained speed when he had the ball, so now instead that's just been wrapped into his heroic play. So when he activates his heroic play, it doesn't matter if he's got the ball or not, he just gains +2/+2 speed.
Yeah, it's just lightning.
Absolutely, and if he has the ball, then he gets to make a free kick of the ball. It's a pass or kick? Just a kick, I think.
It's a kick, yeah.
Free kick the ball without spending influence. And he used to gain a point of defence from his heroic. That's just been wrapped into his base profile now, so he's just defence 4 all the time.
Yeah. And he's retains his close control, so he's still paying to get the ball off as well.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with one player that is outside of the remit, but has recently been brought into the fold.
Yes.
We'll not talk about her season 3 iteration too much because Veteran Decimate, gents.
How do you want to?
How do you solve a problem like Decimate?
So, for players that have been around for a while, Veteran Decimator is kind of one of the infamous players of Season 3 for them, and it's fine to talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Brewers, from a competitive standpoint, were not seen as being one of the top teams for a lot of Season 3.
So you gave them gold.
Right. So when we gave them Veteran Decimate, this was meant to be like an adrenaline shot in the arm for them. We knew it was a temporary fix to get the Brewers being talked about and keep the metagame of Guild Ball a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
Upset things a little bit more. It brought Brewers back into the fold, and they were suddenly a competitive team that people had to be concerned about and be knowledgeable about as well, because they weren't just a team to go. You weren't just a team anymore where you could just go, oh, it's the Brewers, I'm going to win this match.
Yeah.
Then suddenly this was a team that you had to know about, and it was a team that you could play and also play with as well. And when we came to Season 4, we knew that we could take away that temporary fix. There was a lot of power put into Veteran Decimate on her own to give them that shot in the arm. They didn't need that anymore. We could take that power budget that was all absorbed by Veteran Decimate and spread it among the team.
Yeah.
So they're a much more, they've got a much better level of internal balance now across all the Brewers. And so Veteran Decimate is not as strong as she used to be. We've taken that a little bit away. So she's a bit more in sync now with the rest of the team. It's possible that you could decide not to take Veteran Decimate, someone else instead, but she still serves a purpose if you want to.
She still hits like hell though. Like she still maintains. So she's dropped attack.
Yes.
What else has changed?
She's dropped attack. She's dropped a point of movement. So she went from 6'8" to 5'7".
More brewerish, I suppose.
Yeah.
Knockdown. Yes. So on the third column, she used to have a Momentous Knockdown.
Yes,
That has now changed out to be a Momentous Guild Ball result, which means that she will inflict stagger. So she still inflicts -1 defense. She's just not knocking down the opponent anymore.
So there's a bit more counterplay against her when she comes in.
And it is this idea of kind of she was very nimble in her original incarnation. She still is going to cause hassle for the opponent, isn't she? But it's that mirroring of the playbook that we saw in Season 3 is now tweaked ever so slightly.
I think now she still has the capability for damage, but she becomes a bit more of a model that starts the turn rolling, because she can go first. She can take that momentous double push and push someone into a spot where the whole team can just be on them.
Yeah.
And I think now that she's not as much of a superstar, she will get used a bit more in those two roles depending on when she goes within the turn.
She's starting the ganging up party, isn't she? She's really kind of moving people around, or she's finishing it.
Yes.
Which is exactly where she needs to be. So that is our single winning box with the addition of the Exile Decimate. So thank you very much again for that, gents.
No problem.
And we'll have a match report between you two coming later on in the day. Where Filthy Union versus our wonderful Brewers. So we will catch you a little bit later on. Thank you.
So guys, I do hope you enjoyed that video as much as we enjoyed making it. If you did and you want to see some more, check out these videos over here. And if you want to support the channel, it is greatly appreciated. We do have a Patreon. The link is in the description below. Anyway, I'm off to have a word with Tom about editing some more videos.